Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Oh, I'm very white right now. Oh, that's not the button I wanted to push. Anyways, hi, welcome. I'm distracted. Hold on. The light's too bright. Hold on. I realized that it was too high previously. I'm gonna do a little bit of this action. Ooh, right about there. Right. And we want to lower it by one. That's much better. We want it to be a fill light, not like a key light. We don't want it to be even. Alright, gentlemen, welcome to a parking lot. We are not playing Elden Ring today because the controller that I had ordered is not. It was supposed to come yesterday/today, and now it has been pushed back to next Friday. Mind you, I ordered this last week, so now we must wait a very long time. Wow, I'm all the way on the next layer. So, we are just going to chill and play some Minecraft because we have one layer of this garage to complete and fill out and make it look like the rest of it. We also have other minor details to do this garage. There are a lot of things we have to do. We also, if we wanted to take a break from the garage, can connect up the road from here to the one over there. We could also extend the road this way as well. We have a light that needs to be built in this section. We could build the terrace out of this area over here, connect up that. There's plenty of things to do on Fellowcraft. So, we're going to do a lot. We're going to just keep working away, churning, doing what we need to. We're going to start by turning on the gamma. I'm sorry, I have to. It's just easier to see. So, we're going... I've gotten very used to playing the game without gamma on. It does look really bad to play with gamma on, but sometimes you just kind of have to because it's just way too dark and I can't see anything. And if I can't see anything, y'all can't see anything, alright? And that's not good. That's not good at all, alright? So, tell you what. Give me a party. I can't ignore it anymore, gentlemen. I heard a Discord notification. I have to check it. Let me see what's going on Discord. Let me see what just happened on Discord. Alright, well. The Discord on my phone is deciding to be stupid, so there's that. So I guess we won't worry about it. Yes. We are going to go all the way. Alright, cool. So, to start, for this beautiful garage, we need to put 2 of these blocks on all of this to create much more sturdy ground to stand on. Very nice indeed. And that's what we're going to be doing. And I already have a topic in mind and something we could start today's stream off and talk about. It is going to be a hot take. All right, we're starting off with a hot take. All right, gentlemen. There is a common thing most people want added to Minecraft. In some manner of speaking, there's one big change people would like to see to the game of Minecraft. And that change is inventory management. All right, everyone's talking about it, especially Exumavoid, because I watch all of his update videos most of the time. And so he talks about it all the time, wanting an inventory management update. The hot take is I don't think that inventory management is Mojang's problem. Inventory management is an issue with the player, not with the game. Because inventory, just the fact that management is in the name implies that it's something for the player to do, and there's not much the game can do to fix that. Let's look at solutions people have wanted to supposedly solve the problem. Well, let's explain the problem first. Let's figure out what if you're not aware, what the problem is. The problem is, for example, I mean, this isn't a good example because this build is mostly made out of stone. But let's say, for example, I'm building one of these guys up, and I want to build this entire thing with all of these different blocks. Like, I don't want to have to do it in all these sections. I want to just have it all on me. Let's say I'm making it out of a light Matica. So all of these blocks need to be in my inventory. The problem is I can't fit them all in my inventory. There's too many different varieties. I got, like, copper rod, all of this stuff, right? There's just a whole bunch of... there's a whole bunch of stuff, right? I can't fit it all in my inventory, and that's a problem, right? So this number one suggestion that people always want, so like, well, why not just make the inventory bigger? Because obviously, the problem is that the inventory is too small. You can't fit all the blocks you want. The problem with that is the game is increasingly getting bigger, and as the game gets bigger, you know what else it gets? That's right. More items, more blocks, more things that are going to clutter up your inventory. Having a bigger inventory does not solve the issue, it just prolongs the issue. It just takes longer for you to get to that point. For a smaller build, that makes sense. It would solve the issue. Having a larger inventory would make, like, for example, my little shed over yonder. I probably could build that if I had an inventory that was twice the size as my current one without having to need to go back and forth between chests or shulker boxes in the inventory. I wouldn't have to do any of that because the build is small enough that I can fit it in within one double-sized inventory, right? So that solves the problem. But for bigger builds like the one over there, there's most likely, because we're including in the interior. That's the word I'm looking for. We're including the interior in that guy, right? So if we include interior as well as the exterior, all of those blocks probably are more, and not to mention the sheer volume. Like, we're not accounting for volume. We're accounting for one of every block, not even the volume of blocks. Like, for example, all the stone that I have in my inventory right now. You know what I mean? So that still doesn't solve the problem because we still don't have enough inventory space. I only have the inventory space, even with double the inventory, I still couldn't fit all of the bone blocks that were required in this. So I still, at the end of the day, have to put a shulker box down and grab out more bone blocks and do that. That doesn't solve the problem. So a larger inventory will never solve the problem that players seem to face with inventory management, because that isn't going to be the solution. Exuma Void I can't fully remember the exacts, but he kind of made like a data pack or /mod. I don't remember which one it was, but basically it was like to help with inventory management, where like you'd be on a block and then you can open a menu and click onto the other types of blocks in that category. So like the stairs, the slabs, all that kind of stuff. And you could kind of swap between stuff much easier without having to open up your inventory or do all of that. And like, that works. The only issue I have with that is player specific. For Exuma Void, it works very well. But for me, that probably wouldn't work, because that's more button presses that I have to do. It's too complex, especially for newer players, to get used to a system like that very quickly. So it benefits older players. And of course, Mojang, they have to make sure that this game is playable by all ages and understandable by all ages. So, or not just ages, but like player base, right? So some players are newer, so they need it to be simple. It still needs to maintain that simple and easy to play vibe that's already got going on for it, while the old players who already know the game don't need that extra. They can adapt to the new stuff very easily, right? Because you gotta admit, there's always going to be those people. There's a large demographic of Minecraft players is probably the 2-week phase people. Every update they play for 2 weeks, and then that's it. That's all they can take. But that means it has to be easy for them to pick up every single time. So having something as complicated as like all of this, you press Alt, which opens up a menu, and now you have to like move around. That gets complicated. Maybe it's not that complicated, but it's still more complicated than pressing E and just finding it with your mouse. You know what I mean? So like that, I don't know. I feel like that option is just not the solution. Now, I'm not going to have this conversation without offering my own solution. I do think there is somewhat a midway solution. Personally, something I would really love to see in Minecraft, besides vertical slabs. And no, I'm not talking about walls. I mean, like, literally vertical slabs. I think the solution to inventory management, or at least a solution, is a backpack. I personally think a backpack would fit this game very well. And I think one of the reasons why the developers don't want to add a backpack is because there's so many backpack mods that exist that are very much modded, because they have all the upgrades, all this kind of stuff, and that definitely gets into territory. I think the backpack can be much simpler and be able to still keep that Minecraft vibe going, right? I think a backpack fits Minecraft, especially with the new stuff that they're adding with the campsites. A backpack makes a whole lot of sense, and maybe they're gearing up for it. But here's suggestions to make the backpack a little bit more balanced, so it fits a little bit better with the Minecraft theme. All right, number one, the backpack is a chest. Like size-wise, it's a chest. You get an extra chest worth of space in your inventory, right? So you get the double inventory. So that immediately gives us the option number one to solve our inventory management problems, which was getting a bigger inventory. We now have more space to put stuff. You can, of course, put shulker boxes and all this other stuff, bundles, whatever you want, into... Oops, sorry. You can put all that stuff into the backpack, right? That's great. You can, with a keybind, open up your backpack. I'm thinking B because it makes the most amount of sense. Opens up your backpack, right? Now, here's where things get, and I think this is also where, like, the modded issue becomes more of an issue, is it's not necessarily the backpack in of itself, but it's things like Curios API, which add the little, like, menu that you can open up, which has all the different extra slots, like the back slot, the ring slots, all that kind of stuff. That's very modern. I think the issue is like, well, the thing is, we don't want you to have, like, this extra backpack. You're just basically gaining a larger inventory without, necessarily. And, like, why do that when shulker boxes or ender chests already exist? Like, you kind of already have the carryable extra 27 space of inventory. So here's what I suggest, which would also make it balanced and also make it very good early game and still useful at end game and mid game, but not as useful as it would be in the early game. It will take this slot, right? It literally goes on your back, so it takes your chest piece slot. We already have something that removes the armor and gives us flight with the wings, right? You lose armor, con, but you gain flight. So in the same vein, you lose armor with the backpack, but you gain extra storage space. I think other unique abilities of the backpack, rather than just having a shulker box in your inventory or something like that, is you can pick block out of it. You know what I mean? When you press middle mouse button on an item or a block that you're looking at, it'll pull it to your hand that you're holding, or usually an open slot. It usually won't do tools. Right, it'll do that. And the backpack is an extension of your inventory, so it can do that. I have a mod that automatically restocks my hand, so I don't have to keep pick blocking. It would work with something like that as well. That I feel like the same coding that does that, it would mesh over. I'm not a coder, but I imagine it would mesh over. So that's my suggestion, and it takes up this slot. So early game, you don't have a backpack, or you don't have wings, so you don't have to worry about it taking over for that, so you just put it on. But you would lose a chess piece. And I'm thinking similar to how, like, with the chess piece, you could do, like, you could swap like that between a chess piece and a elytra. You could do the same thing with backpack. I just realized, though, with that would be kind of difficult. I kind of want to pull out my chess piece so I can show you. Right, you can do this. I think the backpack should be able to do the same thing, which would make sense. The issue is because it has an inventory, you would be able to open the inventory using right click, because it's right click for both of those. So you would open your inventory multiple times trying to do that, which is fine. But that obviously comes with its own problems, because now you can't easily swap between elytra to backpack, because you would be opening the backpack instead. So you could just make it so that way. Now, the solution's easier. It's more annoying, but it's still easier that if you're holding the backpack in your hand, you still press the B button, and that opens the backpack. And then the backpack would not open just in your inventory plainly, right? So you do need to have the backpack. Let's just put that. Let's just put that over. Empty shulker boxes go over there. Right. I think that maintains some level of balance. I think that kind of works for what we're looking after. Um, I think that'll be good. All right. All right. Distractions aside. You know me, I can't handle a notification. Alright. Now we put stairs up on all these spots. But we have to do it correctly. So that's my solution to the problem, right? And so the backpack, similar to a Totem of Undying, can't be used just simply in the inventory. It has to be equipped in some way. Maybe that could actually be another use for the backpack, is offhand. That would be interesting if you could do that. Because for players like me who have food in their offhand, it means that it would replace the food to have the backpack in the offhand. Still pressing the B button would open the backpack, but I would lose the ability to have food in my offhand, which means it would take up a hotbar slot. Now, I don't necessarily need to play with all tools on my hotbar, but I like playing like this. Like, I don't mind having only 3 slots available for me to use at a time. Like, that doesn't bother me. Now, for some people, it does. Like, some people, really builders, they want to have all hoppers. Now, granted, on certain things, I will open up the slots, right? I'm not going to keep it like that. I usually will open it. But, yeah. That's my inventory management solution. I would love to see a backpack in the game. And I think it would be early game, leather, string kind of vibes. Maybe even wool. Maybe you could color it. I mean, that just makes sense. You can make it colored, so you use wool type of choice to color the backpack. And then, obviously, I think there should be just like a plain leather. And maybe you just use an extra piece of leather instead of wool to make it, to have it just be like the brownish color of leather. You know what I mean? And you can just do that. And what that would allow you, and I think you can uncolor it as well by using a cauldron. Like those mechanics just seem like they would transfer over very well, very easily. So I think that kind of gives you a solution to the problem, Kind of solves the issue. Solves the issue at hand, right? Inventory management. People always be talking about inventory management, right? This is the annoying one, because I have to do it like this. Every single one of them, because I'm just low enough because of the ramp. But it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't bother me. It does not bother me. I'm slightly bothered. But it's okay. Alright, we're good. Now we can go back to the flow. Alright, well. So that's that's my little spiel on inventory management to start us off here. A nice little hot take there. Yeah. Alright, you want to know, since we're on the topic of hot takes, this just came to mind because I saw like an Instagram reel about it a while ago. That somebody was like looking at chicken, right? And they pulled out their chicken, right? And they, it's got the little flabby little wings, right? And everything like that. And, she was saying like, okay, so you got this chicken here, right? And the chicken, most scientists would look at this and be like, oh, well, got these little flubs there, little arms. But obviously we know that there are obviously feathers on a chicken and those are wings, right? And so using that same kind of logic for the T-Rex, why would an apex predator have these tiny little stubs for arms? Like, it just seems so useless, unless, of course, it was a wing. Now, obviously, the size of the bone in comparison to the size of the rest of the T-Rex would be, like, obviously its wings wouldn't even be large enough to probably allow it to take flight, unless, the rest of the wing was actually made out of, like, cartilage or something like that. So, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before. Here's my biggest hot take, I think. Something I think I believe in that nobody else would necessarily believe in. I believe dinosaurs didn't exist. Alright? I don't think dinosaurs were real. Not necessarily. And you might be saying, but we obviously have fossils of dinosaurs. Whatever, whether a T-Rex had wings or not, we still have fossils of that. We still have records. Like, we have irrefutable evidence. And here's what I have to say to that irrefutable evidence. I don't think that was a dinosaur. I think it was just an animal that happened to be larger back then. Back in the day, before we had industrialized our entire planet, the animals could flourish a lot more because they had a lot more nutrients. There were a lot more of them that existed, so they could hunt more, especially for predators, all that kind of stuff. The herbivores had more forests and food and hardy food to feed off of, clean air to breathe, and all of that kind of stuff. Whereas in today's day and age, they don't have that. And so I believe that animals have shrunk, kind of. They've gotten smaller. I want to say there was actually, like, a study done on that, and, like, you can kind of see the progression of a lot of things downgrading. I mean, you look at pugs as an example of, like, a downgrade of breeding, and, like, pugs are literally being bred where their bone structure in their face, they can't breathe, which is why they sound so weird when they're breathing, because they literally are, like, dying. Like, they literally are struggling to breathe because their bone structure isn't allowing them to. Right? So that's like a downgrade of something that already exists. So why not have the same thing to animals? You know what I mean? And I feel like you could look at so many different, like Bronchosaurus, right? You got that big guy with the long neck, all right? Well, what other animal do we know that has a big, long neck? Oh, what if it was just a giant giraffe? You know what I mean? Like, what if a Bronchiosaurus was just actually a giant giraffe? You know what I'm saying? Oh, you know, we have the Spinosaurus, this guy with these like spines off the back. Well, you know what else has a very similar spine structure to that? Elephants and buffalo have this like ridged spine that actually goes up on top of them, which is why you're actually not supposed to ride elephants because they have this ridged spine. So it's very painful for them when you ride them. So what if we just looked at the bone structure and assumed, oh, this must be this little flabby, flaky little guy for this Spinosaurus, instead of what if it was just, you know, an elephant? You know what I'm saying? It's also not uncommon for bones to mix with each other. It's very possible that a lot of the bones that we put together to create these dinosaurs are actually a conglomeration of different bones of different animals. You know what I mean? It's not impossible to believe that bones could be destroyed. So it's possible that's why we're missing certain bones for certain areas and kind of how that would happen. Now, I don't know the exact science of how the bones would necessarily get near each other like that other than animals dying. And of course, if the Earth is not as old as we say it is for like the dinosaurs being as old as they are, right? You know, if it's younger Earth, which I still kind of think that just makes more sense to me rather than like billions and billions of years old. It's still very possible that, you know, before the bones could really settle into the ground and fossilize, winds and water moved them around and sloshed them around, especially for water animals. We've already seen this with whale bones being found in the middle of the middle of the desert. Like that has happened before because there used to be water there and now there isn't, and so a whale literally died. So yeah, you kind of have that. That's what I think the dinosaurs actually are, just animals that we are assuming because of the sheer size of the bones. Oh, this must be some other animal and not the animal that would make the sense, you know, not the skeletal structure that this would make sense for, right? I would love to find a scientist. Oh, I'm out of stairs. I'd love to find a scientist who shares my ideas and would love to deep dive into into this little rabbit hole here, you know what I mean? And be like, okay, would it be possible? Now, here's where things kind of get crazy. Going back to the whole T-Rex and the wings, I believe that the T-Rex never existed. And in reality, the T-Rex is actually a dragon. I believe in dragons existing more than I believe that dinosaurs are real. Here's why. Why, you already got the dinosaur example, right? With the arms, right? So those, I believe, would be wings and not arms. Makes sense. The rest of the body kind of fits the body of a dragon. Like, it just, you think about it, it looks like a dragon. The second thing, mythology. There are several historical accounts of people having their own mythologies surrounding the dragon. You have the Chinese dragon, you have the Welsh dragons literally on their flag. You know what I mean? I mean, there's more examples. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. But I mean, there's so many versions of dragons that exist across culture. I mean, even scripture itself references dragons as a word, whether or not. Now, it's obviously a translation, so you'd have to look into what the actual like Greek word is. But I know in Revelation it mentions the great dragon. And so you kind of have that. So it's not far off to believe that they would use a term that people would have been familiar with, assuming they existed. Now, I don't think they would have existed. I don't think they would have existed now. Like, obviously, if they did exist, they're extinct now. They would have existed in the time of the dinosaurs. Probable that they either got wiped out during the flood or died off after the flood. Like, you think about it. Dragons are huge creatures that would need a lot of meat to eat. Well, when the flood happened, all of the animals did get centralized, but that means all of the animals also died elsewhere. So most likely, for a really long time, dragons had no food to eat until the animals dispersed and repopulated the earth, meaning it's a perfect time for dragons to kind of just go extinct because they just literally have no food, right? And so the mythology, and because of mythologies, that's how we can prove that the flood happened. Because the flood, there are several accounts of the flood happening in various different stories, right? There are several accounts of a great flood existing and happening already. Like that is something that we know because there are so many different stories of a great flood. So that's how and there's obviously other evidences that a great flood had taken place. So we know that a great flood had to have taken place. Similarly, I want to say dragons exist because there are several accounts of dragons in mythologies, which means there had to be something, maybe not a dragon exactly, but something that closely resembled a dragon for people to make stories and mythologies around a mythical creature that seemingly doesn't exist. I rest my case. Dinosaurs didn't exist, but dragons... Now, dragons, they did exist. I believe in the dragons. Now, technically, it could be possible that a dragon exists. I don't think so. I think if they did, it would be dead by now. But, you know, that's still pretty cool. These are my crazy theories and hot takes. I tell you what, though, I am getting thirsty. We are not going to be drinking a Coke today, gentlemen. We have a different drink that we will be drinking. We are going to be trying something new. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Beats me. Hopefully it'll be a good thing. The problem is it was recommended to me because it was a bad thing. So, we'll find out whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing. Alright, we're going to be trying another Olipop root beer. We're going to be trying an Olipop root beer. I was told it does not taste very good. So, we are going to be the official taste tester. Now, I generally don't like root beer. I'm not a fan of root beer. So, this has the potential to be my favorite root beer. This could be my favorite. Now, it might still be bad. Like, I might still be like, yeah, I wouldn't drink it again. But, oh, I didn't do this side. How interesting. But, it has potential. Like, it very well could be, because I don't like your usual, like, A&W root beer or anything like that. Like, I'm not a huge fan of it. The same way I wasn't a fan of cream soda. You know, I tried the Olipop cream soda. It was pretty good, but, like, not great. I wouldn't get it again. I don't remember what I rated it. I think I rated it higher than I probably would have wanted to. Just because it was really good for that moment, and then afterwards, I was like, yeah, the more I drink it, the more it kind of fell off a little bit. But that's fine, and that happens. Right, I have to put these ones in for this little area. Boop. There we go. Aw, man. Yeah, gentlemen, that's what I'm a strange feller, you know what I'm saying? gotta get creative with the world, you know what I mean? You gotta get creative. You gotta think about it. God is the greatest world builder that ever existed. I didn't do this side. Right? God is the greatest world builder that ever existed. And man, he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing when he made everything, all these different cultures. But I feel like he put evidence in for certain things because he really wanted them to exist. I'm just saying. I think God was a big fan of dragons. And you know what? That's why we as humans are a big fan of dragons. Brother, we can AI viewers. Alright, gentlemen, we're doing this again. We're doing this again. We can. These are both Twitch guys. We can pull up Twitch chat. So I didn't mean to do that. How do I turn this off? All right, there we go. Turn off shield mode. I didn't mean to do that. Unfortunately, there's not. Maybe they did get banned off of Twitch, but because I'm using a separate what notification did I just get? All right, nothing important. Maybe because I'm using like a third party site for the other aspects of like to combine YouTube and Twitch chat. It stays on that because it already sent and it's not going to get rid of it. Because I don't see it on Twitch, on the Twitch chat. We'll have to keep our eye on that. We're gonna make this smaller. I just need my activity feed to be visible. Actually, you know what I can do? I can do this, so I can see activity related things. Yes, and then that there. Okay. Okay, let's put in the lights. Let's figure out what we're going to do for the lights. And put in the lights. Okay, it's time for the lights. Oh, no. Not time for the lights. It's time for the slabs. We got to put in the slabs. That's what's next. Gentlemen, that's what's next. Alright, well, I gotta put them in right. You know what I'm saying? Alright, gentlemen. I'm gonna schmooze through the roof. We're just gonna do this. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Alright, perfect. You'd be surprised, but this takes an incredible amount of focus. Okay. I gotta scratch my nose. Alright. Almost done. All the details. This is the last one of these that we have to do. All of these upward details. This is the last time we have to do this because the next layer on this whole place is the top of the garage. Right? It's literally this roof. So we do have to put in, not skylights, but, street lights up there. And I did look at real life parking garages to figure out, and the street lights do not go on the edges. So that's good to know. Street lights do not go on the edge. Good to know, gentlemen. This is very, very good to know. So where did that? Oh. See, I knew I'd be forgetting somewhere something, you know? Gotta put in all of the supports, man. Alright. Need a couple more stairs to fix issues. Okay. Yeah. Alright. Two. Man. Alright. Oh, I finally did it, gentlemen. I swapped back to my old keyboard because the new one really wasn't working for me. It was struggle busing. It wasn't typing nothing. It was just bad, you know? It was just really bad. Alright, I didn't realize I had to do this side. So like, it literally just was not registering that I was typing at all. Which is a very big problem. It's a very, very big problem. I needed to know when I am typing and what I am typing and to type it. It's the whole point of it. So I can type it, you know? That's it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, gentlemen. That's all I'm saying. All I want is it to type when I want it to type, you know? Not that complicated. It shouldn't be that complicated, but for some reason, it is. Now it's time for all the levers. There's a lot of levers in this thing. Alright. Whoa. Alright. So, we're just gonna go down this row and get all of the levers in for all of the lights. For the most part, there actually aren't that many other details that I want to add. I want to go around with hanging, pale signs. And, I want to go ahead and put exit signs around. Because I think that would look really cool. To have exit signs. Yeah. Yeah. It will be cool. Trust. It will be very cool. It will be very cool. Alright. Yeah. Now it's time for the chillaxin. The chillaxin vaxin. You know what I mean? Chillaxin laxatives. What? Alright. Yeah, once these lights go in, we don't have to worry about the bats anymore, because it's going to be too bright for them. For them frickers, you know what I'm saying? Bats are the bane of my existence, but it's okay. So this garage is fully lit up without these lights, alright? Because the lights are actually in the carpets. You probably could have guessed that with the amount of carpets there were around, but that's where the lights are at. Yep. That's where the lights are at. So, what that allows me to do is we can be more fancy with where we actually put the lights at. Because we don't actually have to worry about how bright they are or anything. We just have to worry about how good they look. Which is much better. This is how I like to build and how I like to light a build is like it's better to light based on like without needing to worry about actual lights. Because right now, like, we turn on this, it's completely lit up. It's all green, which is what we want. That way we don't have to worry about mob spawning, no matter where, because everything is completely lit up before we even put in our lights, which is very good. We obviously don't need to put any lights over there because the sun is getting that portion. Or, like, logically. So now we're putting lights in. The ones under the carpets are, like, the literal to keep mobs from spawning. These ones are just for looks to explain why you can see so well in here, even though there's no visible lights. You know what I mean? Because we could just put no lights. There's no reason to have lights. But it explains why there's light despite no visible light, you know? The same reason you put these guys down. They don't actually, they're so tall that they don't even reach the ground. Like, that's how bad those street lights are at being street lights. They're so far away from the ground that they don't actually hit it at all. So, we really need the carpet lights because otherwise it's going to be way too dark. So yeah. I made way too many levers. I'm going to be real with you. I really thought I'd be using way more levers. I also thought I'd be completely out of end rods by this point, and I still have some. So that's very good. So then we get to put in all of the end rods, which is very good. And these are our fluorescent lights. They look very good. They're very modern. I personally think we need more lanterns. The interesting thing about Minecraft. Okay, so here's the thing about Minecraft. I love the game, right? It's a great game. It's a great game. But the one issue I always have with Minecraft, all right? One issue I always have is the game is very much designed rustically, meaning the build style drastically is weighted for one style over another, which makes it difficult to try to build in other styles, which is why I usually avoid it and build, like, towns. Because it's really hard to build modern, because there just isn't that many options to make modern look good. Because a lot of, like, without using, like, mini blocks or armor stand mods, like, without using all that stuff, it's really hard to make literally anything but, like, cozy cottagecore, rustic, medieval work, because the game is so built for that style. Like, all of the blocks fit that style very well. But then you start building modern, and you got to get really, really creative to try to figure out how you're going to pull off modern, given the block palette that you have. And it would be really nice to see more modern options for block palettes. Now, I know in saying that there technically are options. Welcome into Denali. There are modern options. The problem is they're just not very good. Ooh, what'd you have for lunch? They're not very good because you have concrete, but concrete is way too bright and smooth. Like, it just lacks all texture that it works better as literally plastic. It's like, it basically, concrete right now is the equivalent of, like, early CGI, like Toy Story CGI aesthetic. That's kind of what Minecraft concrete looks like. Not that it's bad. If you use it in the right use case, it looks really good. But that use case is very niche. Therefore, you just really don't have options for it. Like, it works great as graffiti. You know, maybe, I mean, graffiti in this area doesn't make much sense because there's no one around. Like, is it, like, literally the scientist would have to be the graffiti artist, which doesn't make sense. But in a city, it would make a lot of sense to have graffiti. And the concrete, and concrete powder. The powder is much better as a building block. It's more versatile than the actual block itself just because of that. Oh, see, I did forget these. Ooh, tacos. Very nice. Did you order them, or did you homemade tacos? Or was it leftover tacos from when you did go out? So that's kind of like the issue. So, like, I'm building in modern, and one of the reasons why I got very demotivated to continue playing for a while is simply because modern is just a very hard build style, and not to mention I'm doing modern brutalist. So I'm not giving myself an easy time building. I think I'm doing all right. I'm nowhere near B-Dub's level, but it still looks pretty decent. Like, I'm still really happy with the builds. Like, I don't look at this build over here and be like, yeah, it just doesn't look that good now that I'm a better builder. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't look great. But like, I still very much like it. I think it ages well. Like, it looks very good. Granted, I mean, I'm kind of just pinching stuff from B-Dubs. Does your texture pack take the ends off the end rods? Yes, it does, because it makes it look better as a fluorescent light than having the rods. Not that, like, you could easily have, like, end here and end there and it would still work, but for, like, these ones, which are 3 blocks long, it gets really annoying to have one side it's offset always, because one side will have an end. You know what I mean? Like, you'll have end, end, and end. And it's just really, really annoying to look at, because it doesn't look great. You went out for lunch. Ooh, I'm assuming you and Knight went out. Very nice, very nice. Now you're making me want tacos. I'm gonna be real with you. All right, I have another hot take. I got a food hot take. You just gave me another conversation right here. Got a food hot take. Context for the food hot take. I grew up in Honduras, right? Latin American country. For those of you who did not know, it is not in Africa. Honduras is not in Africa. It is in Latin America, Central America. I honestly would say it's probably one of the more, like, literally the center of the Americas. It's right in the middle, right next to El Salvador, Nicaragua, Guatemala, right smack dab in the middle of that. Right. So growing up in a Latin American country, you would assume I probably really like Mexican food, right? Because it's Latin American food, basically. No, actually, I don't really like Mexican food, because every time I go to a Mexican restaurant, I anticipate the taste and flavors of Latin American food, such as Honduran food, and not Mexican food. And so I'm always disappointed when I go to a Mexican restaurant, because I'm like, I keep wanting one flavor and I get a completely different flavor that I wasn't really coming here for. And I'm now realizing I don't actually like Mexican food. I like Honduran or El Salvadorian food, even Guatemalan. I don't know if I've had Nicaraguan food, not like directly, like gone to a Nicaraguan restaurant. But yeah, so my hot take is, like, with that includes things like tacos. I'm like, I like tacos. You know, I love going to Taco Bell, which I know is Tex-Mex. But, like, even then, I get tacos and I'm like, yeah, these are good, but they're not, like, amazing. Like, there are other foods I would rather have over a taco, you know? Like Mexican food is the bottom of good Latin and Spanish foods. You know, we categorize the whole thing as Spanish. Come to Dallas and I'll make you some tacos you'll never forget. Don't tempt me, brother. I got another friend in Texas who works at a climbing gym, and they said they could get me in for free. So now I have like 3 reasons, because Dude Perfect is also in Texas. So 3 reasons to visit Texas. And I mean, the fourth reason is it's Texas. I think it would be fun. But so, like, Honduran flavors, it is blander, but it's like, so the baleada is like one of the, like, the Honduran food. I actually had one of those for lunch today. So we both had ethnic food, though mine was leftovers from homemade. Now we can turn the gamma off. That looks pretty. Um, so I had leftover homemade baleadas, and those are tortillas, open tortilla, beans, and cheese, and what we would normally call quesillo. You have queso and quesillo, which is kind of like a sour cream kind of vibes, but not really sour cream. I'm not actually 100% sure. I don't think it is, but we might use it as a substitute. But the real deal doesn't use sour cream, it uses quesillo. And you have those 3, so refried beans, and then 2 cheeses, basically. Fold it up, put it in the oven for like 10 minutes, nice and crispy. Very good. You also have catrachos is another very simple one. It's a hard, flat tortilla shell with refried beans and, like, you know, shredded or like Parmesan cheese or something like that on top. You have gringas, which is kind of like a roll. Tamales, you probably know what a tamale is. That one's more universal to Spanish foods. But we have very good tamales. Um, Empanadas, also, you could probably find those. Um, There's also a lot of, like, Honduran snacks. One of them just got added to my local Walmart, which is very good because it's a very good snack. It's actually not even that good, but it's more nostalgia. Chiquis are very good. If you've ever had Zombos, a very good chip, made in Honduras. Chiquis are actually Costa Rican. They're made in Costa Rica, but ate them in Honduras. Mantequilla cookies. Those are very good. Those are very good. So I've had like a lot of those things. They're very good. They're very good. Highly recommend. But it like when you have it, it won't like if you go to a Honduran restaurant expecting the taste, the flavors of Mexican restaurants, you may be disappointed because they're very different flavors and they're more different than I initially would have realized. Um, all right, so that is that level done. In fact, I'm kind of done. Period. Because not like there are other details I want to add to this place, but those are the big details. Then we come up here. Also, obviously, under the carpets, there are more lights, but we got this upward region, and we have here where we're going to put our street lamps. Just literally those amount of street lamps. There's not going to be any others. And that's basically it, man. I'm familiar with tamales and empanadas for sure, but what I mean is what kinds of herbs, spices, whatever makes them distinct. See, that's the thing. I don't think we really use herbs and spices that often to make the food. We just eat it straight up. Like pupusas. That's the other big one that I forgot about. I knew I was forgetting about a big food group of Latin American food versus Mexican is pupusas. Like there's El Salvadorian pupusas, Nicaraguan pupusas, Honduran, all very different in the way, or all very different in the taste. They're kind of prepared the same. But there are obviously their differences. The same way, it's kind of like how pizza tastes different in Chicago and in New York and homemade and wherever you go. Same kind of vibes as pupusas. You know what I mean? It's very, very good. If you ever have the chance to go to a Honduran restaurant, I would highly recommend. Now we have a ton of stone that I don't actually need. So I'm gonna put that in there. Not that I'm complaining. The stone is certainly handy. Do I not? I must not have. Yeah, this must. Yeah, that makes sense. I've been using all my stone, so I don't have any. And then we have these guys. Another empty shulker box. Wool. I need to make a wool farm. I really need to make a wool farm. I don't have one right now. Actually, I'm planning on building a wool farm right across from the garage. And so the garage will be the garage for both the giant building that it's next to and then the one across. And that way I can build a crosswalk because I think that'd be cool. Because when I think of Tex-Mex, I definitely think of cilantro, chili powder, lime, and cayenne. Yeah, because like a baleada doesn't have any spices in it, or at least not that I know of. I'm pretty sure it's literally like, when I think Honduran, I literally think of refried beans, flat, cheese, like queso seco. Like I'm thinking there's another dish called the plato típico or typical plate, which would be like you go to a restaurant and they'd bring out like a thing of meat, so you'd have your chicken, your beef, all that kind of stuff. You'd also have your beans, rice, tortillas, um, but it really is like just those flavors. Like I can't think of other flavors that it would taste like. Granted, I don't really eat foods that have that many flavors in them. So there's also that as well. I personally like blander foods. I would do very good in England. So I think that's one of the reasons why I also prefer it is because Mexican food tends to have a lot more potent flavors. But I'm just gonna take all of these and then whatever's left over we'll put away. We're gonna need way more of those, yeah, for sure. All right, never mind. I lied, gentlemen. I guess. Well, I'm guessing it didn't work. We need a little bit more. A little bit more of these guys. That ought to do us fine. That ought to do us fine. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna leave this here for when I come back to put these away. Let's see. I also need... I need redstone lights. Which one of these? Yeah, this is redstone. I need redstone lamps. I don't have any. And I also need daylight sensors, which I don't have as well. So, alright, gentlemen. I need to make some resources. Do I have glowstone? That's the question. Do I have any glowstone? Why do I have an empty shulker box in here? What the heck? Another rack. No, I don't have glowstone. Alright. Do I have... I have quartz? How much quartz do I have? Alright, I have a lot of quartz. I'm doing just fine on quartz. Alright? This is good. This is good. This is good. I need a lot of quartz for the daylight sensors. It's just quartz and stone, right? For daylight sensors. Oh, it's not even stone. It's wood. Alright. Alright. We're gonna repair our thing at the same time. Up. Gentlemen. This is how I build so fast. Because why waste the time on literally building cubes? We don't waste time out here, gentlemen. And then we can do this. Bigaroo, gentlemen. Bigaroo. Very handy, very handy. Probably my favorite quality of life mod, because it just adds all of these little things that make life so much faster and more efficient and easy I would argue, without really breaking the game. Like, it's not that crazy and it's not that game breaking. Like, it's not really gonna give me an edge on somebody unless the challenge was to build really fast, and I guess, yes, that would give me the edge. Though, to be perfectly honest, if I'm playing a minigame that involves that, I wouldn't use those features, just because love of the game, you know what I mean? But when it comes to building and doing things faster, it certainly makes life a lot easier. Okay, that giant thing, right? Giant thing is made of stone, right? The other thing with that stone, not only did I have to build that up, or, you look at one of these friggin' buildings, how do you think I build these so fast? Because it's just literally bone blocks on bone blocks. And, like, why spend... I don't really want to spend, because it kind of demotivates me. I don't want to spend, like, 2 hours literally building something like this, just because it takes that long to place all the blocks. When I could just, yeah, turn on fast right click. Which, okay, Denali, right? You have mixed feelings about this, right? Because, you don't like that I can, you don't like that I can do this, right? However, turning it off, right? So it's a normal click. If I do this, you can still achieve, that's video settings. You can still achieve the same thing, if I can find wherever it is. There we go. You can still use the same thing by doing, nope, I need, right? If I did that, you can still kind of get the same speed, right? By just switching the keybind around. So it's eliminating that step of needing to switch keybinds and all of that kind of stuff, when you can just do it at a click of a button. I definitely am a lot more lenient when it comes to that kind of stuff, because I like efficiency and speed. Yeah, it's like free cam in that way. I use it to orient blocks sometimes, but I wouldn't use it in the competitive context. Yeah, exactly. Like, if the game is to look for buried treasure, I'm not going to use free cam to find the buried treasure. But if I am going out and about, and let's say I need a ton of calcite, right? I need a ton of calcite. I'm probably going to use free cam to find geodes, because I don't want to waste my time randomly digging and just kind of doing stuff. It takes too long. And like exploration is my least favorite part about Minecraft. I don't really like to explore because it takes too long. It takes forever to find stuff. So it's much easier to use other tools to make those things faster. A stack of daylight sensors ought to be good enough. I definitely need a shulker box for that, but we'll worry about that later. Oh, it's just fast placement. I thought it was some kind of area fill. No, yeah, it's just fast placement. All it is doing is making me place the blocks very fast. Yeah, it's not an area fill. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I've seen mods that do that, and that's not what it is. Now, a lot of the stuff that a lot of the tweaks and not a lot of them. There's a couple tweaks that are prevented unless the server allows them. So the server would need to have it enabled, like the mod, I think, maybe enabled in order to allow them. Right? And that kind of is a preventative measure to make sure that you can't break the game. Like, I know one of them can increase block reach, but I can't turn it on because that requires the server to allow it. And of course, the server doesn't allow it. And that's fine. That's one of those, yeah, it would be convenient, but that, to me, is breaking the game a little bit more than I would like to. I think I have glass and color tools, right? Yeah. There you go. So that's just kind of my position on the matter. Alright, so that's one phase of that. I need glowstone. The good news is I have clerics. So I can go ask my clerics. Oh, I probably have redstone lamps and daylight sensors in my shulker box of redstone. But I'm going to make more anyways. Because I can. And I forgot. Shame we didn't get the crab. The crab? At like the taco crabs? I have 20. Okay, I wouldn't mind making like another stack. Hello, Mike Schmidt. You know, one of these days, I'm afraid somebody's gonna, like, forget that I have that guy there intentionally and just come in here, see the zombie, and shoot him, like, from afar. And, you know, never getting the chance to read his name. Because they just assume, oh, he probably spawned in there and isn't supposed to be in there. I should have enough to get a stack. I also need a better pumpkin and melon farm. Because the one that's in... Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Oh my gosh, I literally have so much glowstone. I'm taking all this with me back. I just bought so much glowstone for no reason when I had the glowstone required. Alright, well, that's fine. Mob vote crab. Oh, reach the ledge. Oh, that crab. Yes, you're right. I thought that was cool. I'm pretty sure that I voted for crab because I wanted the block reach. Extra reach. I think that would be cool. It kind of felt like it was the equivalent of, create mod with the hand that makes you reach extra far. That's what it kind of felt like. Also, I don't know why my chests don't make noise when I open them. I do have the data pack, or not the data pack, the resource pack that makes it quieter, but it's not supposed to remove sound altogether. But it is for some reason. I don't know. I have no redstone either. I am bored. Oh, wow. I actually have, like, legitimately no redstone. This is not good. No, that's not the right one. Oh, okay, good. Phew. I put my redstone in here. Phew. I still need more. I'm gonna keep those ores, though, because sometimes redstone ore itself is useful. So we're gonna keep that. Um, I mean, you can do some cool stuff with that. You missed it earlier, but I went on a whole tangent on inventory management and how it's not actually a problem with the game and it's a problem with the player. Because the problem is people can't manage their inventories when they're building huge structures. And my suggestion for the solution was to add a backpack. That would be like just a chest, basically. And it would take this slot, your chest slot. So it would mean you wouldn't be able to wear a backpack and wings and / or chest piece all at the same time. Which would make it, I think that would balance it out. Similar to like how wings give you flight, you can't wear wings and a chest plate. The same way you wouldn't be able to wear wings and a backpack at the same time. And I also feel like backpack would fit thematically with Minecraft. Especially given the new stuff that they're doing with the campsites. I think that kind of fits. All right, I'm gonna fly to the top of the garage, and then I'm gonna grab myself my root beer, and we're gonna try it. All right, but I gotta make an Instagram about it. Well, I gotta just record myself trying it so I can make an Instagram about it later. So I am gonna be right back. Gentlemen, I had to move my whole setup around so I could get this to work. Somehow the camera actually somewhat has ended in the correct position. Basically. Wow, that was actually crazy. I had to move the camera because I needed to use my speaker as something to hold it up. All right, I got to read everything that Denali just said while I was gone. All right. The complaint I hear about inventory is that it's hard to leave a large number of block types in a build. Redstone has this problem for sure. There are too many things to fit even in otherwise empty inventory. So you have to use shulker box or strategical swap things out. Yes, I do think the problem is overstated, but I wouldn't agree that it's on the player. We at least need a fast way to switch palettes. See, that's the thing. Like, and one of the things I brought up was Exuma Void's kind of fix slash suggestion to the problem, which was his like switcheroni system where you like press Alt. You know, you're on a block. Like, let's say I have these 3 blocks. I would hit Alt, and it would allow me to swap between any andesite, like any regular andesite block in my inventory, maybe even polished andesite. You know what I mean? And like it's not a bad system. The issue that I have with it is just that it works for some types of players like Exuma, but maybe it wouldn't work for others. I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, I believe it's 13 blocks. 1, oop, get back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. How do I build these again? So, like, there is that. That does exist. You can use his system if that works for you. For me, I don't know if that would work well for my brain. It might, but the issue I was having with it is it might be a little too complex for players who don't know the system. Oh, nope, that's not right. And so, like, it would overly complicate something that wouldn't necessarily need to be complicated. That was kind of my issue with it. This is annoying me. I'm charging something like right in front of me, and it's flashing, and it's annoying me. It's distracting. So that's kind of my gripe with a system like that. But even still, I don't know. I just feel like we as a player could just get better at figuring out how to manage that. Because at the end of the day, you're still, like, you only have 9 hotbar slots, technically 10 if you count the offhand, to swap between items. At the end of the day, you're always going to have that no matter how large of an inventory you have. That problem still persists, right? So I don't think there's, like, any amount of anything that Mojang can do to fix that other than, I guess, add, you know, either advanced systems that might take a player a while to get used to. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Right. So you could do that. But I just think it would take the player too long to get used to exactly how to do something. And then again, it's on the player to have to figure out, and it's up to them to use that system to their advantage. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those issues that this game is always going to have, and there isn't necessarily something that we can do to fix that. You know? I don't think there really is a one-stop shop that's going to fix the problem. It's going to just kind of always exist. And, like, at that point, you make mods like Exuma's to help you, or you find the one that does work for you. Personally, I have no issue with inventory management. Like, it does not... I don't feel like I have a problem with inventory management at all. So, I see people talking about the problem, and I'm like, I don't really see much of a problem there. It just seems like players just don't know what to do when you have a lot of stuff. But, like, that's why we have shulker boxes. We have a way to store all of those items that we don't know what to do with. I don't know, maybe I'm just special, you know? Maybe I'm just special and I don't need, advanced systems to make it work. That is very possible. It's just me. Because like right there, like, okay, I need the extra slots, so I move those out of the way. Like that makes sense. But otherwise, I keep my inventory like this all the time. Like it never changes. And I also like to keep my inventory as clean as possible. Like that never changes. All right, gentlemen. Parking lot is basically done. Parking lot's basically done. Olipop root beer. Not great. It is definitely a downgrade. For sure. It's not, thankfully, it's not a one sip, I gotta throw it away kind of situation. That's good. It's not my favorite type of root beer. There was a possibility that it could have been that, but it just isn't at all. It's not even really close to being that. Well, not really. I mean, I don't like root beer. Period. So it had a very high bar that it needed to pass, and surprised it didn't pass because I'm very picky when it comes to that kind of stuff. So yeah. All right. So now the next thing that we need to work on, before we get to exit signs, I think exit signs are going to make more sense when we figure out what the flow of traffic is. There are two things that we need to build before we can even figure out the flow of traffic. The staircases, which are actually going to go in these slots right here. So the first thing I have to do is figure out exactly where the staircase is going to be. So I think I need stone. So I flew all the way over here and I didn't need to. One thing with the backpack, though, one thing I was thinking that would be cool is, so it's an extra bit of inventory. You put it on your back, right? You can pick block directly out of the backpack. So you're building and you need to get to a block, you can pick block to it. You can press the B button to open the backpack if you don't currently have an item like the block in front of you to pick block when you're building. So you can just pull it out. And that would kind of help. Probably going to need like two things. Oh, whoops, I accidentally threw that in there. That's not supposed to go in there, but I actually kind of need that one as well. So we're going to grab two ones of that, and then the one that we've already got, and then we'll also grab the stone stairs and slabs. Yes. All right. We are going to work on the bottom part of the staircase to figure out what it's going to look like, all right? Also, look at this. We have a clearance. Clearance 9 feet. For cars. Isn't that cool? And then, of course, we have that. Lockpicking is low-key one of the best features they ever added. Yeah. So, like, that makes it very handy. Because right now, I can't block pick out of a shulker box. But a backpack would basically be like you have a shulker box in your inventory. You pick block out of that. I think that would be really cool. Alright, so first things first, I got to get rid of the carpets. Right? At least for right now. Unfortunately, I left the end stone here. This is where the staircase is going to go. So I need to figure out how that's going to work. We can get rid of the end stone entirely. And also this light. Because obviously, that's not going to work. That does mean, thankfully, everything is well lit. Now that we have these up here, we actually are better well lit, which is nice. Granted, we're going to add other lights in here. So this is one of those scenarios where we're probably going to add lights to things. All right. So first, you got to fill in. I might even fill over top of this. I don't know yet. We need an entrance and an exit. It would make the most sense to probably have... we'll probably have... here's what I'm thinking, right? So we actually have to just straight up get rid of so much of the infrastructure that we have already built to make this work, but that's fine. That's just how I like to build. For some people, this is very annoying because they have to watch me tear down stuff that I literally just built to put this over, but it's fine. And then I want to do this. Yeah? Never mind. I want to do one up. Actually, I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to do this. I think that's going to look better. Yeah. I like that better. Right? Okay. I grabbed way too much of this, so we don't need as much of the stone. As much as we would love to have stone, we need more stairs than we do anything else. So what I'm thinking is, if this is the kind of entrance, we need to have a staircase that goes up. So, how do I want to do this? If we have the entrance here, obviously it can't go here, so I'm thinking like either here or here is where the start should be. I'm thinking probably this way makes the most sense. I need to shriek already. All right. Okay. I actually kind of want to use slabs. Yeah. Let's use slabs. So what I'm thinking, it's just weird to have a gap here. But maybe, I don't know, maybe we just, all right, here's what I'm thinking, right? Yeah, we just do this. We just have it triple layer. Or, oh, wait. Well, that doesn't make sense to have one triple, one not. But, like, theoretically, we could just do, I mean, we could just do this. I mean, heck, yeah. That kind of just works. Just do that. You know what I mean? And then we don't need this here because we can't see it. This isn't important. You kind of ignore that. And then we get into... This is where things get crazy, gentlemen. There's a whole layer here. Bet you didn't know about that. Right? This already feels like it's just not working. I'm gonna be real with you. It does not feel like this system is working. It feels way too short. Like, this is all gonna stay stone? Probably. Because I don't know what other block would work well with this. Like, yeah, andesite, but we're kind of using andesite as our poles. So, like, to me, it just doesn't work. And it's also a parking garage. Like, parking garages are usually just gray. And there isn't, like, cracked stone. So I don't really know what else to do to fix it. You know? Which is unfortunate. Maybe this is working. This might actually be working. Yeah. Obviously, we can't have that guy there. And this will obviously be all covered up. This doesn't make sense to be like that. That would have to be like that. This is very tight, and I don't like that. Like, right here, this is 2 blocks tall. Oh, that's because I haven't removed this. Like, technically, right here, it's 2 blocks tall. You know? That doesn't look very good. And there's no space for lights, really, like, at all. That is true. That would be nice to have, more stone, you know? More stone variations. That'd be kinda cool. It just blends together a lot when it's the same block. It does, it really does. The only reason I'm allowing it is because, again, we're going for a brutalist style, so it is just kind of blobby. Alright, well, I don't like this. This is too tight. Don't like it. I didn't realize how little space I actually had in here. Like, I would prefer your usual... See, the problem is, it's typical, spiral staircase. Really doesn't fit the theme either. I'm trying to think of the parking garage at my school and how it looks. It looks very different. Yes. Very, very different. Very different. Now, obviously, we could just do this. Right, where we just do one. We also don't necessarily need to stay flat. We could have this, like, more central, and that way we could have the 2 walls. I don't know. I do like the idea of it being open, though. I think that would be really cool to have these windows still here. But it feels weird to have... Like, this is better height-wise. Like, I feel like we're making way more progress up. And then, obviously, it would stop here. Like that. Right, so it'd stop here. But that means we now have to get off of the staircase from here. It wouldn't line up. But at least now, there's plenty of space in between, but now you only have, like, 1 block of space, which doesn't feel good. Unless, again, we do this, but we keep it 3 wide. I don't like this either. I want the entrance and exits of the staircase to end up in the same spot, so that way we can keep the design the same all the way through. Right? So I want to be able to basically... I want to start here. Right? That's awesome. Right? Because we want... I feel like I might as well just leave that at that level, so I'm probably going to change it on the bottom layer. Except for this one. Just so that way it matches that right there. So we want... We can use slabs here. So we basically want this to go here. Now, actually, I think I just solved my problem. Right? If we have... And heck, we can do this. Right? Would this line up? That's the question. Alright, if I could place the blocks in the right orientation, it'd be really nice. Really freaking nice. Move that, move that. Move that, move that. No. Not quite. Well, no. Not quite. So close. Not quite enough, as we would then need... We need this layer to be there. It's getting very dark and I can't see. Right? Because I think we need 2 blocks, because we need enough space for people to be able to walk. It's also really nice that that lined up. And now it doesn't. Hammer. This is not going to line up. That's a problem. Because we want it to line up. And it's just... I mean, right here, I mean, immediately you get into the problem. This is at this level. It needs to be 1 higher. Because now we're at the right level. Now, the solution isn't great, but I do have a solution, which is just this and that. Because I like this staircase design the best. Like, I think this just works very well. I don't know. Maybe. And then we could put the pillar back in the middle. Four, five, six. Yeah, because it's a 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 6 by 6. Now, I'd prefer not to have to go into these ones, because right now, these two are going to remove themselves of being parking spaces and going to be the crisscross. Because we obviously don't want people to park right next to the staircase, so there's going to be a little bit of space for pedestrians to walk. Which would be really nice. But, like, if we do this, it just won't... I don't think it'll work very well. Like, I think it's gonna not line up. Like, I think for that, that works as, like, a temp solution. But that really shouldn't be the solution. I don't want it to be the solution. But, you know, I don't really have much of a choice. And heck, we can keep this like that. That's fine. I don't mind having that kind of pop out. I might put it back on the other one. Because presumably we're going to have the same issue. Unless it lines up the same way every time. But it looks like we're going to be off each time. Which is not fine. Because that means this next layer is going to have to be different. Now, we are 2 blocks too low for this layer. So we're 1 block, we're perfectly aligned. Now we're 1 block, and now we're 2 blocks. So we can't really do anything. So that means we now have to go up 1, and then 2, and now our doors would have to, we would only be able to have 1 door. We'd only have to be able to have the door on this side, instead of having to double. But maybe that's fine, because then now we gain an extra parking spot. Is that fine? Maybe this is fine. Because now, you know, this has to go like that. That has to go like that. But it does work. Maybe this is fine. Because it kind of is annoying that there isn't a way in on that side, but like there's nothing I can do about that. Because it doesn't line up. But the problem is what happens when we get well, like I'm pretty sure this next one is gonna line up even worse. Like it's getting harder and harder to figure out where we're going with this. Hold on. I just kind of have to keep building it and see where the heck everything is going. I don't remember this being the way. The other ones. Guess it was. Because the corner stairs, that's fine. I can live with that. But this next one is like, okay, that's fine, I guess. Like that's workable. Doesn't look great, but it's fine. We're just gonna have to see until we eventually get a design that works. We're just gonna keep going up and just kind of vibe check it, you know? Oh, don't do that. I got some notifications. All right. See, now it's the same situation as before, but now we have to do the stairs there. Which again works, but not really, not cleanly. Because this one is not in the way. There wasn't one on that guy. And the other ones were in the way. I'm also going to have to figure out how I'm going to light this. Because that's going to be the hard part. is how are we going to get light in here? Now, again, this kind of has to go away because it's in the way, which is unfortunate. But it's not the end of the world either. Especially if it's not present in any of it. Nothing important. Alright, well, the good news is when it gets the wonkiest, we're at the top now. So I think we're just going to rip it like it is and just deal with the fact that it's a little janky. Because at the end of the day, it is just going to work because we end at the top before we get to actually, like, problematic areas. So, because right now, again, we're 2 blocks too low right here. So now we have to turn again. But that means we're going to end up at the top. Like, we're at the top, but we can just do this. I'm pretty sure we can go all the way over here like this. Not quite. But, you know, you see. It's kind of jank, but now you can go up all the layers. Might as well just kind of... So yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah, this whole place is dark, which is unfortunate. Including this upward bit here. Now I can't unfortunately put a light in the ground because of the stairs, which is most unfortunate. Now I'm pretty sure is there already one in this corner? No. So I can put one right here, which should take care of... Oh, it does not quite take care of it. Well, that's fine, because either way... Oops. That's where I put it. So we can go ahead and take this guy and put a shroom light there. And that does solve our problems. Okay, so that gets at least the light up at here. Because there's no... We can't put a light over here. No parking garage has lights on the edge. So, we now need to figure out how are we going to light the rest of this. And do we want to... Well, obviously, we don't want to have a hole here. Do I just want to put a pillar through here? That makes the most sense. To just have a giant stone pillar go through here. It does make lighting, I think, harder. Maybe not. Because we could also put... Well, I have ideas. I think pillar is going to be the best option for us for this middle. Because no railing is going to work. Like, there's just nothing we can do to make a railing work. So we're just not going to bother. You know what I mean? So we're just going to do this. I have an idea for how we can get the lights in here. Now, the nice thing is by there's no hidden lights, because I would ideally like to have hidden lights, because ideally the sun is lighting up this whole section, which quite literally it is right now, so it'll keep mobs from spawning during the day, but not during the night, which is not very helpful. We will have a railing on this edge so people don't fall into the stairs. You can't park on the sides. We'll make sure to put those on all of the walls. Or not all the walls, but like all of these. So, yeah, just like that. That's one to, yeah, I think that was way too far. All right. So that's too far. Okay. Cool. That's perfect. That's perfect right there. All right. So we can throw all of these in here. And now we'll just kind of put lights around. So I'm thinking... You know what I mean? Just like that. And that does light that up enough. So I think just on this one, probably always on the innard. We'll do this. That kind of just works the best. That keeps it all nice and tidy, lit up. It's not really in the way of you walking. You know what I mean? Like, it's very out of the way. And it would make sense that because there's a giant pillar here and we don't need one up there, which is very good because I didn't want to put one up there because it doesn't fit. And then, yeah, obviously on the top layer, there really isn't. And theoretically, these 6 lights are lighting up this whole top section. I would do pillar with lights integrated, yeah. So that's kind of what we got. I mean, obviously they're poking out a little bit, but the nice thing is you really can't run into it, which is nice. You'd have to jump, and even still, you can't hit the end rod. Yeah, you're not even hitting the end rod. So that's very good. I like that. I think that works very well for this staircase. All right, looks like everything is lit up. Staircase is done. We just need to build another one over there. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so we just need to build another staircase on the opposite side. This spot is probably security officer guy's spot. You know what I'm saying? He gets his own spot because he is the security officer, yeah. This is very good. All right, well, apparently Olipop has a low glycemic load, which estimates in its impact on blood sugar or glucose in healthy individuals. I don't really know what that's supposed to mean. I don't know if that's saying, like, it's healthier for healthy people, but I imagine if you're diabetic, probably don't get this because if your blood sugar is low, what it's saying is it already doesn't have a lot of sugar in it, so don't get it because it's already not impacting your blood sugar. That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like it's trying to say right now. I think the easiest way to do this is to quite literally go from the top and dig it all out first, and then rebuild it all, build the whole staircase up instead of digging as we go. The faster way is going to be, well, why don't we use our new staircase? You know what I'm saying? We could walk up the ramps, but those are for the cars. We got a staircase, so it would be faster. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. It's beautiful. Still a spiral staircase by technicality. It's just larger. But now it does work. Which is very good. Very good indeed. So we want to, do we want to take out the side ones? No, we do not. Not for this first one, but I mean, I guess not for the other ones either. Those don't matter. Yeah. Also, if you're wondering why did I build the parking garage this way and have, like, a gap? It's actually specifically for this, so that you wouldn't see it down there. That's really it. Why a 1 block gap? That I don't know. I think it was in case I wanted to do something underneath. I have the space to. Because otherwise, I would be having to deal with that. We're also going to get rid of our beautiful stuff that we just built. Like, literally just built. To make sure we have the space for it. We're going to get rid of all of this as well. I know, it's very sad. It's very sad. We just built it. It's okay. Don't worry, don't worry, don't you worry. It'll be alright. That's obviously a problem. We will worry about that problem later. Oops. A little too far there. Very nice to have the parking garage done, though. Like, we're making progress on the base. Very slow progress, but progress nonetheless. The base is growing. I can't wait until we have, like, an actual area to call home. And then I'll see if I ever decide to do another build. Like, I have an idea for, like, a giant scientific mega base that I could add. But I also don't necessarily want to do that as, like, a main base. I'm thinking about transforming this base that I got going right now for me into a industrial district rather than my base, and moving my base to a different location and, like, building something else. And so this is, like, the base of operations until that point. And then we have our brand new, non-annoying shulker system. I'm not gonna lie, I really don't like the Ethos storage system. Like, it's not really working for me. It's not scratching the brain the way I'd want it to. Unfortunately. Like, it's not doing it for me. Because it takes so long to get items. Not because it's sorting, but because I just don't like it. I don't like the system. It doesn't work for me. Because, like, I have to throw in the shulker box, wait for it to spit the shulker box back out, all that kind of stuff. Think your progress is slow? I mean, that's fair. But other than, like, me and you, we're, like, the only 2 players that actually play on this server. That's not meant to be a jab. It's just an observation. So I think it wouldn't be a terrible idea to kind of eliminate the shopping district. Like, keep it as a nice little piece of history, but transform it, instead of a shopping district, into a communal farms area. So that way we have just, like, a general area. And that way the Redstoners have an area to just build farms, whether or not they need them or not. Because the rest of us are going to need said farms for our builds. And that way we, the builders, or mini-gamers, wouldn't need to worry about farms as well, which can be quite nice. Okay, very nice, very nice. I should have probably have been filling in those, but we can fill that in later. Not entirely. Naga's been working on her base lately. I did one time come on and she was on the server. So that was nice. But I think most, basically, other than you, Knight, and I, no one else has really played on the server much. And it's one of those unfortunate things where it just is that way. There's not too much we can necessarily do about it. The nature of busy people. Like, if you can't devote your time to this, then it makes it much harder to consistently play. Not that it's important or anything. So this is actually going to start the opposite direction, which would be this way. Not a fault of anybody's, but just is the truth of the matter. Okay, so we need a little bit of this. We can worry about this later. Okay. Might as well grab all of these just to have them. And, like, to be fair, I am saying this, but I was one of the people I randomly got hit with inspiration to work. I think quite literally doing the Elden Ring challenge has literally made me not want to do the Elden Ring challenge, so I am finding other things to do instead of the Elden Ring challenge, which is the irony of my motivation. Is it's not because I actually want to get this done. It's because I don't want to do the other stuff. But my new controller will be here next week. I'm really hoping it comes Thursday at least. So I can have the controller Thursday. But, you know, it's a funny thing. Most people like to play when other people are online, but they don't want to plan things out, lol. But also people are just busy. That is true. Most people are busy during the day, which is when I would normally play EX right now. But, and then at night, I'm usually gone. And that's when people would be available to play, is at nighttime. And, a lot of people also have, very young kids, which makes it difficult because then the young kids want to play the game. And that makes it challenging because the parent is the one that actually wants to play the game and can play the game. They're not quite at the age yet where they know how to play the game, truthfully know how to play the game, which I think is really funny. But yeah, you said something about a minigame, right? Yeah, so this actually is going to be a giant story minigame that I'm building right now. This is just a part of it. This and the big guy over there, are all going to be a giant story minigame, and you have to figure out what happened. I don't want to talk about it too much. I have talked about it on stream before, but no spoilers, right? And that could actually be my off-camera work. When I actually start developing the minigame will be the time which I do stuff off-camera and don't have to, I find myself getting trapped where I want to only live stream things instead of actually doing any off-camera work, so then I end up doing no off-camera work, because the stuff I would consider off-camera work is all the stuff that would be great for stream, which would be, i.e., mining and all the grindy kind of stuff is usually what people would do off-camera, but that to me is oh, that's normally what I want to do for stream. I just realized that's not how this side works. So it's kind of funny that I do that, but then I end up getting stuck where I end up just doing nothing because I'm not wanting to do anything unless I live stream it or make content out of it. And then when I don't want to when I'm not in a mood to make content or live stream, I end never playing the game. And it's not because it's like Minecraft has become a game I can only live stream. It's just all the things like everything to me kind of becomes like a business decision and ends up becoming a part of content. But then it also ends up trapping me because then I can't do whatever thing it is outside of the context of content. And then it's a lose-lose. Like, even with me doing this thing with my Instagram where I'm, like, trying just things I've never had before, usually snacks or drinks, right? Trying all of these things. Now, if there's a new snack or drink that I would really like to try, and let's say, usually it's I'm at work, so, and I'm hungry, and I want to try the newest whatever for a snack later, I now can't do that because I want to try that snack as a part of the Instagram thing that I'm doing. And so then there's a certain point where I just have to say, well, this snack just won't get that treatment because no. Which is very, very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. But I did, thankfully, break that. And I tried a M&M's Pop. Freeze-dried M&M's caramel. They were not very good. But I did try that. And I think, like, definitely, like, I would never get a weird food item as a snack. But there are certainly times where it's like, ooh, this new drink I've never had is out. Like, maybe it's a new flavor of Coke, you know what I mean? And, like, right now I'm really thirsty and would really like to get it. But I'm at work. And I don't really want to bother the people around me by making a video, you know what I mean? Nor do I want them in the background without their, you know, like, it becomes a whole thing, right? So I want to make sure that I don't annoy the crap out of people around me. But I also would like to expand. I'd also like to expand to trying things at, like, restaurants, like, full-on meals, and going to, like, maybe ethnic restaurants and trying stuff. I think that could be fun. But now I'm talking about the same issues as before, where I'm now, like, maybe bothering other patrons because I'm doing this, which I don't really want to do. But yeah, the other mini game that I would want to make, going back to that, is mini golf. I'd love to make actual mini golf, or technically not mini golf, but large golf. With the sulfur cubes. I think that would be a lot of fun. This doesn't need to be there, because we are going to put the pillar in the middle. And that needs to go away, because we don't want to see that. But we can do this instead. And that does not solve our problems. But if we do this, I don't have anything on me, brother. This is also the problem. My brain only works one thing at a time. So I will do things inefficiently because I can only... Actually, this doesn't need to be that because cars obviously can't park there. Cars can park there because you as a person can't walk there. Macro golf. Basically, yeah. Actually, that's not a bad name for it. Macro golf. Because it's going to be an in-between of regular golf, but not as big as regular golf. So it's going to end up becoming mini golf, but not quite as well. I am also out of these. All right, well, I'm just out of resources, aren't I? We don't need these anymore. We don't need these anymore. We do need this, I lied. We do need these, and might as well just grab these while we're at it. So this is the only one that actually gets it. This and the top are the only ones that actually deserve the double blockage, because there's the two openings. this one only needs the one because... Oh, no, this one also needs a double because it also has 2 openings. And then the other ones that don't have 2 openings don't need 2 openings. You know what I mean? That it works. These are the only 2 staircases that are going to exist in this place. There are no other staircases. Oh, I thought. Lol. Sorry. Now, when it comes to the fact that there are giant windows that you could theoretically walk right out of, don't know what my plan is for that. Does that solve my problems? It does. Very good, very good. So we're not going to worry about that one there. Nope. For the most part, not going to be a problem. So that's fine. Oops. Not the right spot. Very nice. Because, like, here, that's fine. Obviously, you can walk right out of here. But, like, if you really think about it, probably not. Well, I mean, then again. Yeah, I don't know. Oops, that doesn't go in there. Maybe. Maybe we just assume people aren't that going to do that, you know? Alright. So that is that. There is, now that I think about it, on this side, there's, we obviously, that's good, that's fine. We'll make sure, okay. We need to make sure that on this one up here, that we didn't do it to both sides. We did. This doesn't need to be blocked off. Of course it doesn't. Because, you know, you can't walk that way, so it don't matter. And coming up over here, do the same thing on this side. Don't matter. You know what I mean? Cars can park here. Don't matter. And then on the top one, I think I accidentally did one. Nope. Yeah, I did one too many. Should only have been to there. Yep. That is one. This is one too far. Man. That is unfortunate. Okay. There you go. Perfect. So now we have 2 staircases that go up and down. Very nice. Oh, that looks so good, dude. Dude. Oh, that looks so good. Look at this parking lot, dude. I just hit the C-stand. My bad, G. The parking lot looks really good, dude. The parking lot looks really good. Does that not look amazing? It's very nice. Very, very nice parking lot. Or parking garage. Very good looking parking garage. I think we're going to stop there for parking garage extravaganza. Because the next thing we have to build, the last thing before you can put in things like exit signs and all that, is the elevators. And then we also kind of need to figure out where the elevators are even going to stop. So this can go in there. This can go in there. This can just go back in here. We can put this down over here. We can grab out these guys and just put them away where they belong. See what I mean? Like, it takes so long to find the items I'm looking for. Longer than I would like it to. Because there are end rods. Do I have... End stuff is right here, dude. See, I don't have space for the end rods anymore. But now, I actually need to keep all these levers in there, because I have more levers than I'm gonna need. Funnily enough, I got 647 levers. That's fine. Okay. So I'm thinking the next thing I work on... Sure. Is... the road. I want to connect up the roads. I want to start getting that worked on. Why not? Yeah. Because now we also need to figure out where the stairs are going to exit out to the actual parking area. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so that's good. That's exactly the length that it's supposed to be. Now, I actually have no idea at what Y level each thing is at. So we're gonna pull that out a little bit. And I'm gonna pull this out a little bit. Alright, we're gonna keep this at this height for now. Maybe Saturday. Because I'm toying with the idea of just live streaming Saturday. Because more people are usually available at night. So it just makes more sense to live stream on a Saturday. On a Saturday night. I can't do Tuesdays or Thursday nights because Tuesday nights we have guests over, so I can't do it Tuesday night. And also do knowledge streams then, so it doesn't feel right to live stream while the other man's live streaming, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna be like a certain someone, alright? That's all I'm saying. Some of you know who I'm talking about. Some of you don't. That's okay. You don't need to know. Alright. Little... right here or something? Alright. So, 1, 2, 3. 3 more blocks away from here. 1, 2, 3. I'm just gonna put this down so I have general marker. Okay, so at some point it has the road actually has to go down one. That point probably should just be right, honestly, probably just have this road be at that height and this road be at this height. Right? This should just be at this height. Brother, you are asking a question that I just answered. Alright, so context. My watch is connected to my phone. I got a smartwatch now. Yay. And I just had I play volleyball Tuesdays and Thursdays night. That's why I can't stream at night, because it goes 5 to 7. So one of the guys in that group chat just asked, are we playing outdoor today? Previous to him asking that, I had written in that chat earlier in the morning, it looks like a perfect day to play beach today because it's in the 80s and it's partly clouded. I didn't add that part. I just said it looked good. So should we play at these courts or those courts? And then bro asks if we're playing outdoor. Unless other people... I mean, I guess he said, so we playing outdoor today? Probably? Let's see. What is the weather looking like right now? 5 o'clock is 5%. 5 to 7. I kind of need the leader of that group to answer. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need the guy that made the group chat to make a decision. The problem is he's not a very good decision maker. So we're kind of screwed on that front. But, you know, it's fine. Love the guy. Not a very good decision maker. All right? He's a good buddy of mine, all right? I'm not going to name names here. He's a great buddy of mine. He was my roommate last year. Okay? So nonchalant and everything, to the point where it's frustrating. There's a certain level of nonchalantness that genuinely becomes kind of frustrating, because it does get to the point where you're just sat there, and especially for a person like me, I've just sat there like, do you even want to be here, bro? Or nah? And like, you don't know, because he's so nonchalant. He's like, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah. You're like, okay, well, yeah, wait, what do you mean? Like, are you having a fun time right now, or like you having a bad time? Like, what's going on here, brother? What's going on? Talk to me. And like sometimes it can actually be difficult, because trying to figure out like what this guy actually what he does enjoy, what he doesn't enjoy, and he doesn't voice when he doesn't enjoy something. So then I end up doing something that he would have been opposed to, but I didn't know because he didn't say it. He didn't tell me. So I just, for example, this group chat, right? He made a group chat. He didn't want some people in the group chat. I didn't know that. But I added them to the group chat because they were asking me, because they knew I was in the area, if I'd ever be interested in playing volleyball. And I'm like, well, hey, I'm a part of a group chat and a part of a group that plays volleyball every Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I told him that, and then I added him to the group chat. Because I just assumed that the group chat was of people that my friend had known were in the area. And he didn't know these people were in the area. So I was like, yeah, we'll add them. Now, I will say it kind of has benefited us a little bit, because those friends, they're not great at volleyball. They're improving, but there's a lot to improve on. And to be perfectly honest, when we're thinking about teams, it's pretty much which team needs the handicap. And the sad thing is when my buddy old pal, the nonchalant one, is so good at the game that you need to always put the bad players with him to make it even. It means that guy is always having to play with bad players. So I understand, to him, it's probably not the most fun he could be having, because he always has to play with bad players. Because we need to nerf him, And like sometimes me on a good day, like I can be kind of matching his level, but not really often enough to make it like equatable. But we can never be on the same team, because that would be too powerful. That would be too strong of a team. So we have to split it up. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate, because like I can never play with him. He can never play with me. But I'm pretty sure we're... So it's a rather unfortunate set of circumstances we have here. But as mentioned previously, even though we have those bad players with us, they now have started inviting their coworkers, most of which are actually pretty decent at the game, which is very nice, because now we don't have to worry about. Now we have at least a little bit more of an offset, and we have actually like good enough players that we're getting better rallies going than we otherwise would be getting, which is really good. But unfortunately, sometimes the offset isn't enough, which is unfortunate. So, like, a lot of times, like, him and I will be coaching. Now, I don't mind that. I actually love teaching people, and so, like, it's actually enjoyable for me to do that. The problem is I'm always afraid that I'm going to be overdoing it way too much, to the point where, like, I'm actually annoying people, because I'm constantly telling them, like, two hands, or... trying to coach them. And sometimes it can be kind of annoying to have somebody constantly correcting you. Then again, if you're constantly doing something incorrect, I want to make sure you realize. Now, the good news is, for the most part, they have gotten to the point where they understand where their faults are and why they keep messing something up, and they're able to point it out, which is good, but they still need to make the improvement. One such thing is, like, with their receiving, they need wider bases. Like, in volleyball, you need to have a nice wide base to receive well. and their legs are always kind of like crossed, not like crossed this way, but they're always, uh, there's the camera. They're always staggered like this. Like you want to be, I keep going the wrong way. Want to be like wide base like this, not like close together, but wide base like this. And they're always kind of standing like this when they receive. So the ball always like kind of shanks off of them because they don't got that wide base. Meanwhile, we have another friend that I convinced to join us playing volleyball who's really tall, but is a basketball player. But he's better at receiving than those other two guys are when one of them at least has been playing volleyball for much longer than the tall friend. But the reason, actually don't need to break that guy. The reason they're so much better or the reason he's so much better is because of the basketball. He already has the wide base that he needs to be a good receiver. Well, correcting people is dangerous territory, even say they're open to it. Yeah, well, see, the problem with me is if you say you're open to it, you said you're open to it, and you're going to be corrected. It is what it is. I'm going to criticize and correct you because you asked me to. You know what I'm saying? And, like, they're all open to it. Like, they all, not just open to it, but, like, asking for it and wanting to be corrected and wanting to improve. So they do have a learning mindset going into this, which is very good. And, like, I'm very good friends with one of them. Now, it's him and his younger brother. So his younger brother, I don't really know his younger brother, which makes it difficult with correcting. Because, like, I'll straight up insult my friend because he's my friend. So, like, I'll tell him he sucks. And he knows he does. But he knows he's also improving. And I'll also let him know, you're doing really good, or that was really good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not always going to insult, but I'm going to point out when he's doing something bad. Because I want him to improve. And I know he can improve. He has a lot of potential to be like a really good libero, so like a really good defensive player because he's fast and he can get to the ball really quickly, and he's not bad at anticipation. The problem, well, he is actually bad at anticipation now that I think about it. That's actually the thing he probably needs the most improvement on is anticipation. Now I suck at anticipation. I'm very bad at anticipating. It's very hard for me to tell where the ball's going to go. Now sometimes I'm locked in and it's fine. I can figure it out. But other days, it's a struggle bus. It's a really big struggle bus. Because I'm trying to do stuff, and I'm like, I cannot anticipate where the ball is going to be at all, and it is causing me to shank a lot because I can't get there fast enough. Whereas my friend, he is fast enough to get to the ball, but the problem is he doesn't have the technique to make it work. And if he anticipated, he'd probably have better technique because he'd actually be able to get to the ball fast enough to get under it. Because the issue is he's not getting under it fast enough. And that's causing him to shank more often than you would like to, which is never, you know? You never want to shank the ball. Meanwhile, his younger brother is pretty much a carbon copy of him in terms of play style. And no wonder they play together. So his brother is naturally going to learn from his older brother. But his older brother is doing it wrong. You know? And that's kind of the hard part. Because now he's doing it, he's not playing well. Because he's learning from somebody who also doesn't play well. So this is kind of helping them, but at the cost of decreasing play for us. Because unfortunately, like, it's a good thing and an unfortunate thing. They're very consistent people. They show up. They show up to each of the volleyballs. They almost never miss a beat. Which is good, where you want that. But the problem is that means they're always there. So you can never really get that moment of, like, high level. Now, the good news is if we have enough players with beach volleyball, we can do doubles, which is nice. And I prefer doubles over, like, fours or threes because you get to touch the ball a lot more. And I think it's improving my level of play. But the issue is when you have really good players that you're up against, a lot of times rallies don't last very long because it's very easy to get a point when you're not at extremely high level because I don't have the anticipation and I don't have the speed. So if I anticipate wrong, I don't have the speed to make up for that mistake. And I unfortunately anticipate wrong more times than I anticipate right. And usually anticipate wrong isn't like I'm on the wrong side of the court. It's like I'm literally an inch off. But that inch makes the difference. I needed to be one step over to the right to get under the ball. and I wasn't. I was one step over to the left too far. And now the ball is shanking off of my arm. And that's typically where, like, a lot of my frustration comes in, because I'm so close to, like, having it down. And truthfully, the only way to get it down is to just keep playing so much that it just gets ingrained in me, and I know exactly what I need to do to succeed every time. And honestly, Elden Ring is kind of in that same boat, where I just kind of have to keep playing it over and over and over again until eventually I succeed every time. But we're not there yet. We're closer to it on volleyball than we are with Elden Ring, but thankfully, with both of them, I have enough mojo to keep trying and keep doing it over and over again, which is good. I haven't lost my mojo for Elden Ring. I always want to play it, which is the good thing, and why I keep going back to it. The problem is I'm not good enough to make each session enjoyable necessarily. Though having a new controller might help. Whether or not it legitimately is, like, better, I think it will be, just because Nintendo isn't necessarily designed to plug into the computer and be run on computer. You know what I mean? So most people would use their Xbox or PlayStation controller. So I think that does affect a little bit, and can affect a little bit of quality of controller. And you know what I mean? Maybe it's not even, maybe the controller itself wasn't necessarily busted, but it was just the latency between Nintendo and the PC is just is greater than other controllers, simply because Nintendo isn't really designed to play, like, they're designed to play with Nintendo. And unfortunately, Nintendo doesn't really like crossing over. They don't like it when you do anything to their games. They don't like it when you think about funny things to do with Nintendo. Like, they're like, we are exclusive. We are only existing in our little bubble. Rather unfortunate. But it is what it is, you know? Alright. Get rid of these. So this goes away. Alright, gentlemen. We have cleared all of these trees. We can clear more trees. I'm not too concerned about grabbing this birch leaves, just because there's too little of them to make it worth it. I get more oak leaves out of it if I cleared the leaves as well. So it's just better not to worry about it. Alright? Alright. We're going to clear my inventory. Yeah. I think I'm done. I think we're going to clear my inventory, and we're going to end it there, and then I can work on the road later. These were not tasks that needed to be done on stream. It's just I don't have the controller yet, so I can't do Elden Ring challenge anymore until the new controller comes. Mainly because I don't want to. I don't want to frustrate myself more than I need to. Because whether or not the controller is actually busted, I'm convinced that it is. And it's not even like it's a big busted, but it's just enough bust to, like, set me off, you know? More than I'd like it to be, you know? Right. So now we have the end stone to fill in that gap. But that's going to do it for today. Let's see. Let's end the recording. I figured I'd record just in case something interesting happened or anything. I don't think I'm going to use any of this footage for anything. I'm going to log out. Just to log out. All right. Let me see if anybody's live that I'd want to raid. Not really. So I think we're just going to end. Just going to end there. Call it a day. You know what I'm saying? So that'll be all. Bye.